Next, I'd like to yield to Congressman Bill Johnson.
Thank you, Dr. Joyce, and thanks to our panelists for being here, particularly Deb, you and Ray, for your courage and your willingness to be vulnerable and share your experience, the devastating loss of your son. You know, change starts with conversations, and it's these kinds of conversations as lawmakers that are critical when we talk with families and individuals that have been affected by fentanyl, public health officials and medical personnel who have experienced dealing with substance abuse, and the hardworking men and women in law enforcement that are working around the clock to try to keep our communities safe from this deadly drug. You know, conversations like this one also that we're having here today help us to move forward on our common goal, keeping fentanyl off the streets, out of our communities, and out of the hands of our young people. Needless to say, and you've all confirmed it, fentanyl is killing Americans all across the country at an alarming rate, our friends, our neighbors, and in some cases, our family members. My district in Appalachia, in Ohio, is no stranger to the dangers of fentanyl poisoning. It's part of our nation that's been especially devastated by fentanyl and the opioid crisis. Combating this crisis is going to take all of us uniting around common sense policies that mitigate the destruction that this drug is causing. We can start by supporting the move to permanently schedule all fentanyl-related substances into Schedule 1, and by opposing the weakening of criminal penalties for fentanyl-related crimes. Because I agree with you, it's murder. For a distributor, for a drug dealer to knowingly sell fentanyl-laced products to people, it should be counted as murder. It's no different than picking up a gun or a knife or another weapon and trying to take someone's life. It's also vitally important to note that President Biden's failure to secure our southern border has allowed fentanyl and other dangerous drugs to flow freely into the United States. So I can tell you around this table, you have our commitment to continue to press the Biden administration and our Democrat colleagues on the importance of securing our border and stopping the flow of illicit drugs like cocaine, like fentanyl, from coming across our border. So I want to thank you all again for being here. It takes a great deal of courage, and I look forward to helping be a part of this continuing conversation. But I do want to start with you, Mr. Neerum. I agree with my colleagues here today. Clearly, we need to schedule all of these fentanyl-related substances properly to stop foreign drug traffickers from tweaking their formulas to get around the laws here in the United States. But as I can tell you, in places like Ohio, these substances are pouring in to our communities, like I said, at alarming rates, regardless of their illegality. So with these actions that we're talking about today, would they assist the DEA? Would they make your job easier in enforcement, in being able to stop the shipments of this poison into our communities?
Thank you for that question. The answer, in short, in my opinion, is yes, because what it does is it addresses the challenge of the threat, because what you're looking at is the questionable legal status potentially of certain substances that are coming across. So you take that question off the table. And so that provides additional support to the law enforcement efforts and to our partners within CBP and other Border Patrol that are trying to address the smuggling coming across the border. So yes, it does help.
Okay. And also I know we're all alarmed at the state of the southern border for many different reasons, where we know only a fraction of the fentanyl that we're catching coming through is intercepted. How can the U.S. government, the administration, us in Congress, what do you think we can do better that we're not already focused on? What's the magic formula to stop this stuff from coming across the border?
Unfortunately, I don't think there is a magic formula. I think the measures that we're talking about today will have an impact. And I think that they are something that adds additional tools to the arsenal of the investigator and the prosecutor. One thing that I would say is, and I was mentioning, I think, to Dr. Joyce before we started, when I was a young agent, I used to say and think that DEA could do more with less and that that was a badge of honor. As I grew throughout the agency and in the executive positions I held when I retired, you can't do more with less. And so what I would say is that resources, not just for DEA in this arena, but also for our other federal, state, and local partners that are addressing this, are significant resources would be very much appreciated and helpful.
Crazy question. I just thought about this. You mentioned resources. I've actually participated in sting operations with law enforcement back in my home district in Ohio. Are dogs able to sniff out fentanyl the way they do other drugs, or are they at risk of ingesting? Is it a problem? Are we able to go after fentanyl like we do marijuana? Can animals sniff it out?
My experience is yes, that the animals, they are trained for that, and there have been some experience. I don't have it personally, but my understanding is that yes, they can be affected.
Okay. All right, I yield back. Thanks.
Thank you.